This is CSC200 game programming. And in this section, we're moving from version 4 of Space Invaders to version 5 of Space Invaders. And one of the first things we need to do is make a block of enemies instead of just the single enemy that I have right now. So to begin with, I'm going to create an area to hold the block. So I'm going to go to create, or I can just right click and I will create empty. And I'm going to call that enemy block, and it's not changing. So let me come up here and do it up here. So enemy block, and that will be there. Now then underneath this, I need an enemy row. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to create empty, and I'm going to rename that one to enemy row. Okay, so we now have enemy block, now I have enemy row. And what I want to do now is put several enemies coming across, leaving room for them to move and move down. So to do that, I believe I'll go with the prefab on this. So the way that we get a prefab to work, we take an object, put it up here in the hierarchy, get it set up just like we want, which we have at the moment. And then I'm going to take the enemy and drag it into the prefabs folder. And that turns it into a prefab. And if you notice, we're in the prefabs folder, there's enemy, and it has been renamed enemy prefab. Okay. So now then what I want to do is put all of these in a row. So I'm going to come down here. Let's see if it'll let me, enemy row, there we go. That's exactly what we want. And now then what we'd like to do is duplicate this a few times. So there's one, that gives me 2 enemies. That gives me 3 enemies. I think I'll go 5 across. That gives me 4 enemies, and that gives me 5 enemies if I duplicate that. All right, so that should be sufficient. Now all 5 of them are sitting on top of each other right now, not acceptable for the game that I'm doing. So I'll start moving these over and just bring them over. See if I can get the distance about right on this. It's 4 of them. I've got 1 more to move. Okay, and that's close enough. Let's see, I think I can ooch him back a little. Yeah, and then I'll need to ooch them all over. Okay, so pick up this one next. Not too close. And come over and pick up this one. And looking okay. And come over and get this last one now and move him over. Okay, so we have created our row of enemies. Now I'm going to take the row, enemy row, and duplicate it. And if we look, we have 5 enemies again. And since enemy row is selected, all I should need to do is move them down. And I believe I'll do 1 more group. So I'll take this and duplicate it once more. Okay, and the same thing, I will need to move it down. And that's all there is to making a block of enemies.